was purchased some 40 years ago at a very bargain price of just over Rm 80,000. It was located at the bustling Pulau Tikus area with amenities like a wet market, supermarket, food court, and close by to Gurney Drive beach area as well. It was a semi-detached house of about 8,000 square feet, with 6 rooms and a car porch, which could accommodate at least 8 cars at any one time. 2 months upon purchase, the family moved in, and this is the house that they acquired after the previous house in Abu Siti Lane. There were 4 rooms upstairs and 2 rooms downstairs. My wife and I occupied one of the rooms upstairs, while my 2 brothers and their wives took the other 2 rooms. The remaining room was left vacant in anticipation of my KL-based brother, who occasionally returned to stay during the holidays. My elderly parents occupied the room downstairs. So that's all the room spoken for. The initial few months of stay, very peaceful. We were beginning to like the house when strange things started occurring, as they do. There were many times when we heard scratching sounds on our doorway, mostly on my room door, particularly at night when we were asleep. We didn't keep dogs, moreover, so where would the scratching sounds come from? So naturally, we took the weird sounds very seriously. There were also noises of the door to the vacant room being opened and shut violently, even though that unoccupied room's door was always shut. There were also unexplained incidents like dogs barking incessantly in front of our gate at unearthly hours of the night, every night. A pack of them would just gather and bark and bark and bark. As a result of these unnatural happenings, we were deprived of a good night's sleep. The whole family knew that something bad was being unfolded before our eyes. The actual horror started in my own room. I was as usual fast asleep when I was awakened by this eerie feeling of being watched, followed by the sensation of numbness, coldness, and being unable to utter a single word. I was like in a state of paralysis, being unable to move my limbs. I knew at that moment that something unworldly was afoot. I was at that point of time lying on my back, looking up at the ceiling. What I saw next was a tall, shadowy figure standing right in front of me and looking right at me as if waiting for the right time to strike. When I saw the ghostly apparition, I tried to yell out, but nothing came out. I froze when a tall figure dropped to the edge of my bed where my legs were. Then 2 shadowy hands stretched out towards my feet and started groping my legs and toes. It was pinching each and every toe and at the same time giggling away. The taunting went on for about 10 minutes each time before it stopped.
That's a long time.
I mean, honestly, it could have felt like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like an eternity, right, when these things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And it vanished. I was able to move again. I felt very much relieved that it was finally over, but not knowing that the whole scene was about to repeat itself night after night throughout the incoming days for weeks and months. It's always the same, waking up at 4 a.m., feeling cold and immobile, and just waiting for the ghostly figure to appear and taunt you with your toes before it vanishes. Not being able to further withstand the onslaught of this mischievous entity, I decided to sleep with the lights brightly lit at night, thinking, hey, it'll make a change. Every bright light we had was left on. Thereafter, we managed to experience a few nights of peace. But because we had been sleeping with the lights on, the quality of sleep was dwindling. My wife started complaining about being unable to sleep and function well. So we compromised on just one pendant light hanging over the dressing table to be switched on for when we retire for the night. The dressing table was placed at the far corner of the end of the room. This particular light may not have been very bright, but it gave a cozy atmosphere as it was a warm light. Without knowing another hell-binding episode was about to unfold, we went to bed as we did, thinking one little warm light was sufficient to keep the spooks away. And as usual, I awakened, cold, numb, and unable to move, sort of waiting for the dreadful thing to come out and haunt me again. To my surprise, none of the usual stuff happened. I was wondering why I was left unscathed and started looking around the room as I still couldn't move. I scrutinized the room and what caught my attention was a figure standing quietly in front of the dressing table. It wasn't moving and was facing the direction of my sleeping area, right at me. I made several attempts to look at her face to make out who it possibly was, but it was all in vain. All I could see was from the neck down to the tiny little feet. She was dressed in ancient Chinese attire, with a red blouse and long black pants. As I was looking at her, she started moving and walking slowly towards me. I was horrified and started screaming, but only muffled sounds came out of me. My whole body was shaking with fear, and I lay motionless for her to strike, probably to send me to the next world. Something came over me, and I actually thought, hey, I should pray. Not sure why I never did during previous attacks, but this time I quickly called out to my Divine Mother Guan Yin for help, reciting all the mantras I knew fervently, imploring for her to save me. And sure enough, and soon enough, the ghostly apparition vanished without a trace. After this, we had no other alternative but to sleep with the lights all turned on brightly each night. If you were to pass by our house at night, we were the only brightly lit house. 4 months after we moved in, we sold the house and moved out.
Wow.
A week later, the whole family went to a temple to consult a medium and related all the experiences to her. The medium, while in a trance, said it's all my late father's fault. He did not seek blessings from his late wife to remarry. She had died during childbirth while giving birth to their first child, and she was only 18 years then. And according to the medium, she was very upset she wasn't sought for permission to remarry. Even though she was no longer in the world of the living, she still demanded my late father's respect. So due to this anger, she came back to disturb the family. The medium instructed my family to perform a religious ceremony to appease her soul, and for my late father to apologize to her. And if we didn't do any of this, she would never cease to harass the family. So sure enough, we carried out the ceremonies and prayers, and it stopped. Boom.
Ooh.